CM 365, all about Carnatic music.
Today I am going to share with you some interesting trivia about Carnatic music. We know that the Trinity composed on various gods and goddesses, but the four deities common to the Trinity in the sense that all the three, Tyagaraja, Dikshadhar and Shama Sastri, composed on these particular four deities, that is Devi Kamakshi of Kanchipuram, Sri Varadarajar of again Kanchipuram, Devi Dharma Samvardhini of Thiruvayyar, and Devi Nilayadakshi of Nagapattinam. Coming to the next one, in terms of the notes taken by ragas, we see that there are basically four classifications. Of course, there are other different ways of categorization and classification, but based on the notes, we have Sampurna, which takes 7 notes, Shadava taking 6 notes, Audava taking 5 notes, and Swarantara taking 4 notes. If you look at the Samaveda, we see that the basic ragam on which it is constructed is the Karaharapriya scale. We'll now look into an interesting incident which led to the creation of a pun called the Yal Muri pun. Now the pun Megharaga Kuranji. This is equivalent to the present day Neelambri, we could say. And this is actually now also called Yal Muri pun. But what is the story behind it being called so? Legend has it that when Tirgyana Sambandar actually sang this pun, that is the Megharaga Kuranji pun, Neelakanta Yalpanar, he accompanied him on the yard. But while he was trying to accompany him for this particular pun, you know that in Neelambari, the Madhyama has got different colors and shades. Some of them are on the sthana, sometimes it is above the Madhyama sthana, sometimes below. So all these kind of oscillations of the Madhyama could not be actually replicated on the yard by Neelakanta Yalpanar. So when he was not able to play this particular Madhyama in its proper way, he got really frustrated and annoyed, and he said to have broken his yard itself. So that is why we say that Yal Muri, Muri means to break. Because of this incident of Neelakanta Yalpanar breaking the yard in his inability to play this particular pun, this Megharaga Kurunji also is now known as Yal Muri pun. Coming to Sri Purandaradasar, we know that he has composed thousands of kritis, that is thousands of what we call as Purandaradasa Padagalu, and then he's also composed Geetams, then Abhyasa Ganam and so on. But interestingly, he has not composed even one Varnam. And probably this also is an indication of the fact that at his time, when he lived, the Varnam did not actually have a separate entity of its own, and it evolved probably as a form later than his time. So that is the reason probably he did not compose the form Varnam. The next thing I would like to share is about the pun system in Tamil music. While we have generally classification based, as I said earlier, on the number of notes or the foreign notes taken, these are all the things which are prevalent today. At one time we see that Tamil music, interestingly, was the classification of the melody was based on the landscape of their origin. That is, it was called Mullai if it originated from the forest, Neidal when it originated from the coastal area, Marudam when it originated from the plains or the fields, Palai that originating from the desert, and Kurunji the kind of pun which originated from the hills. So this is the way the puns were actually classified in Tamil music. In the Nadaswaram tradition, we see that there are also a set of talams which are associated with temples, which are called as the Navasandhi Talam. So the Navasandhi Talam is typically a kind of a set of talams that is played exclusively, or rather it is associated with the temple rituals. Then coming to the operas which are available for us. We have very beautiful operas in Tamil and Telugu given to us by the great Vagyekaras. And among all these operas, we see that Tyagaraja's Prahalada Bhakti Vijayamu and Gopalakrishna Bharathi's Nandanar Charitram are supposed to be the longest operas available to us. In fact, if you have to perform these two operas, it actually takes more than 5 hours to perform the entire opera, and that is why we say that these are two of the longest operas available to us. Then coming to the Tamil music again, the 7 notes that we call Sarigama Padani and all today, they had very distinct names as part of Tamil music, and they were known as Kural, Tuttam, Kaikilai, Ulai, Ili, Vilari and Taram. Then coming to Papanasam Sivan. What is the first song? In fact, the first song of every composer is a major landmark in terms of their entering into the field as a Vagekara. So, Papanasam Sivan's Unnai Tudika Arulta, that particular composition in Kuntala Varali, was the first composition composed by Sri Papanasam Sivan. Finally, coming to the opera Prahalada Bhakti Vijayam of Tyagarajar, we see how he has followed the strict lakshanas of so many things while composing also in an opera. Generally in an opera it is said that the first composition and last composition should be in the same raga. So similarly we see that Saurashtra is the ragam which has been taken as the first and last ragam, where he has composed Sri Ganapatini Sevimparare as the first composition in this Prahalada Bhakti Vijayamu, and the final composition here is Neenama Rupamulaku Nitya Jayamangalam. And coming to Tyagarajar again, we know that as a great Vagekara, he taught many disciples and he had a huge branch of Shishyas. But also very interesting that though he did teach music to all his disciples, based on the Patantara of these compositions, 3 particular schools emerged. That is the Valajapet, Tillai Sthanam and Umyalpuram. In the sense that the composition is the same, but we see a lot of variations in terms of the rendition of these 3 distinct schools that actually branched out from the Tyagarajar. So he created a parampara of these 3 particular schools. So these were just some of the interesting trivia I wanted to share with you. I hope you found them interesting.
CM 365, all about Carnatic music.